So apparently, a concierge at the villa in Cabo was interviewed. Right, they talked to him, got a whole lot of info from him, but they didn't really tell us about it or break it down to any sort of news sources until here recently, which we're thinking is probably because of Shanquella Robinson's family's new lawyers. But this particular concierge interview, it confirms many things and it exposes other things. And let's check it out. It's crazy. So he was there the night before Shanquella was taken from this world, and he basically got a good idea of the environment that she was in at that time. And it says he added that Robinson was the last to join the group for dinner and seemed not to fit in with the others. After greeting her, the concierge said she was indifferent, nothing to do with the atmosphere of the celebration. She was out of place at the party, which means that even though she went to Cabo with these people, her so-called friends, she didn't really vibe with them. Right? It was some sort of a weird, awkward situation there at that time. And in the video that we saw of Shanquella Robinson, she was like walking through the halls and stuff, looking for her friends, and they're all bundled up in one room, or most of them. You could tell that when she entered the room, it's like it was awkward, right? It's like they had some sort of an issue with her. At least some of them did.
It don't take that long to get naked, hoes. Where y'all at? She told me I'm gonna keep it hot. You gonna keep it hot? What?
I'll keep my hot bathing suits that I don't want to wear because it's cute as fuck.
They, what Go said, they croup.
Yeah. the one that's like mediocre is in my chains. I can't wear them.
It's like they didn't want her to be there, even though it seemed like she was paying for everything. She paid for them to be there. You're hanging out with somebody, you're doing things for them, but they resent you for doing it for them. They resent you for your success. Such an odd situation. So yeah, the following day around 1:50 p.m., the concierge reportedly got a text from the suspect who asked if he was available and where the nearest medical facility was. The suspect said, "I think my friend has alcohol poisoning and needs emergency service." By 2 p.m., the doctor on call for the villa was called and tried to give Robinson an IV. An hour afterwards, she began having convulsions and was later declared dead by cardiac arrest, according to the doctor. This, to me, is sort of an odd situation, or it just brings more to light because based on other testimony or other reports, we were thinking that it was more so Winter Donovan that was doing all of the talking or all of the calls and stuff like that. But in this situation, he's kind of going to go into it where it seems more like it's Dejanay, but we'll see. Let's see. A police report states that she died between 5 p.m. and 6 p.m. She may have actually passed away around 3, but they continued to work on her until 5 or 6 p.m. and that's when they just basically like announced her dead at the scene. So I think that's pretty much what that is. I think that at 3 p.m. she was gone, right? But they tried to revive her for 2 to 3 hours after that. That's my thinking. The suspect texted the concierge to get to the villa as soon as possible, and when he arrived, he saw one of the guests talking to the police, probably Winter. Once inside, he explained to the police that the guests were calm and sitting around the bar and dinner table. Calm, it's a little weird for sure, considering that their friend had passed away. Obviously, you know, some of them may have had a hand in it, at least one that we can confirm, and another that or two that to me it seems like they may not have been as okay with what was going on, but I'll get to that later. He found the suspect who had been texting him to offer his condolences over the death of the friend. The suspect told him that her death was so fast to lose her in an instant for having too much alcohol. The concierge offered to hug the friend, and he said in the interview, "She gave me a very different hug, very cold," which is so. When you see more of what's going on, it's just he's picking up on all this stuff, not knowing the truth. I saw a very sad guest, a skinny girl, and I saw that she was in pain. There's literally nobody else that this could be other than Elise. I believe that's her name. Because the other two women, they kind of got more meat on them. And to me, it makes perfect sense because she was one of the only other people seen out since all of this happened. Elise and Nazir have been the only two of the Cabo Six to be physically seen out in public since all of this happened. To me, what does that mean? Like, why is it that 4 are in hiding and 2 are out in the open? It means that they likely didn't participate. And I'm going to get to the rumor mill later, like things that we heard on the DL that can't currently be confirmed, but it really helps paint the picture about what happened. But yeah, keep in mind, skinny girl, more than likely Elise. I left that area and stayed outside the main entrance to give them some space to mourn and grieve. Minutes later, I heard laughter, which is obviously weird, right? Because is it that the friends that were sitting around at the table, were they just pretending until he left the room and then they were laughing about it? It sounds really bad, but we don't know, right? It sounds terrible knowing everything that happened, but we don't for sure know. Hours afterwards, the leader of the group texted the concierge about the dinner and organized transports in San Jose, probably Winter. She seemed like she was the leader based on the documents and stuff like that. Her name was on a whole lot of stuff. So it's either between Winter and Dejanay that was leading things, but I'm guessing it was Winter. The leader of the group texted the concierge about the dinner and organized transport to San Jose. However, he later found out that the group went to the airport to return to the U.S. The maid informed the concierge the following day that the villa was empty and asked if the group had checked out, which they had not. He texted the suspect, who failed to respond until the following day, October 31st, when she said that they had left for the U.S. Yeah, so they basically lied to the concierge, which is not surprising. I mean, they basically took Shanquella's life, and they wanted to get away with it. So they supposedly talked to people in the States. May or may not have bribed some people. We don't know that for sure. That's just something that's kind of being put out there. But they definitely talked to people in the States. They probably figured out a way to cover up that it was a spinal injury, with the fact that alcohol poisoning is very similar to that. Footage was later found of Shanquella being attacked by one of the friends. A video went viral on social media in which someone yells, "Can you at least fight back?" Of course, we know that's Khalil, more than likely. When the concierge saw the footage, that was when he realized that the suspect had practically manipulated him in order to leave the country as soon as possible. Yeah, it's like he was putting things together. It's like, yo, this is kind of awful. Like, why is this happening? Why are they laughing? So on and so forth. Why does she seem so cold? Let's see. The clip shows Robinson barely verbal and being punched in the face multiple times by another woman until she falls to the ground. The concierge confirmed that the person attacking Robinson is the person he was in contact with, and now the main suspect in her death. So now that basically confirms that the warrant issued by Mexico was for Dejanay. It's like there's no debating it. I mean, most people were thinking that anyway, but I feel like it's pretty much confirmed now. And she apparently had a lot to do with the concierge and them getting out of Mexico. So I guess it was Winter and Dejanay that was orchestrating stuff. Let's see. Bernard Robinson, Shanquella's father, wept when he saw her beaten body in the casket, saying, "I know for a fact they did some bodily harm to her." Yeah, I saw the video. I've seen multiple videos of him talking about the situation. I had a video that I was working on, and I'm a very empathetic person, and I couldn't finish the video. So basically, the bottom here is just talking about how there's pressure on our government to actually step in and try to make some changes to speed up the process, so on and so forth, in order for justice to be served. I mean, they have to have some kind of idea of where the suspects are, but for some reason there's been no action. Now I've kind of checked out a few things, and it's looking like there's a conflict with the laws in the U.S. and Mexico, where on one end Mexico was saying femicide, but the U.S. does not recognize femicide as a crime, right? So there's a conflict where for the U.S. to actually transport Dejanay or whoever, it has to be a crime that is recognized by both countries, and for whatever reason, I guess Mexico is sticking with femicide because it's a higher charge, and they're not trying to adjust it or anything. I guess the only thing they could really do would be adjust it to homicide or something. Like, it has to be some kind of communication between the two countries in order for things to change. Outside of that, what the family or some people are wanting is for basically justice to be served here in the States, which I'm assuming would make things a lot easier, right? Because it is still a crime to take someone's life, especially in the States. American citizen on a U.S. citizen or whatever, it's still a crime. So the idea is, hey, you know what, the Mexican government ain't getting it right. We need to bring it here so we can go ahead and get justice served. So it's pretty much what's happening here. Let's see, extradition. So we're basically waiting on the Mexican government and the U.S. government to kind of get it together and get it figured out so that they can extradite Dejanay and whoever else they decide to extradite. To the rumor mill, Gerardo Zuniga at one point, I can't confirm this. I don't even hear people talking about it anymore, and I think it's because we can't confirm it. So I want to make sure that we know that this is something that can't be confirmed, but it in my mind, it's like, okay, there's a higher probability that what he was saying was true, even though we can't confirm it and we don't know that it's true. There's multiple things. I did a video based on one of the things he was saying was that Dejanay had been arrested or detained. But we can't confirm that. You know what I'm saying? We can't confirm that because it's not official, right? And the FBI, they're just saying that, hey, it's still under investigation. That's all we can tell you, right? So maybe they have her detained. It's possible that Gerardo had some faulty information, but I don't know. It's something that we're just gonna have to see, because since she's the prime suspect, it makes sense for them to lock her down so that she doesn't get away. Another thing that was put out there at one point was that there were two of the Cabo Six that were talking, right? That had spoke about what was going on, and there was another rumor that there was another video, a third video, where another woman came from another room and was basically in an altercation with Dejanay. Obviously, it can't be but one person in my mind, and that's Elise, right? Skinny girl, actually in pain. She's one of the only other of the Cabo Six that's been seen out in the open, right? And I mean, hell, she just lost a sister, I believe, like the day or like maybe 2 days before that happened, and they talked her into going. So I'm thinking that Nazir and Elise are the ones that are at least not as guilty as the other ones. Maybe you could say that they participated in covering up the murder, but they weren't a part of the murder itself. Maybe it's sort of a silence or like a lie of omission or something. I don't know. But it doesn't seem like she actively participated in what was going on. That's just my 2 cents. So yeah, as things progress, we're gonna get more info, and hopefully with more information, we'll be able to expedite any type of movement in this particular case. So we'll see what happens. I'm gonna bring like heavy updates to this case in the future, so keep a lookout, and yeah, have a good one.